She doesn't lose interest slowly. She loses it in one moment. The moment you make the mistake you don't even see. Let's talk honestly, my friend. Every man has lived this. One day she's warm, curious, texting back with energy. Then something shifts. She becomes distant, shorter, colder. She's busy, she's tired, she's not sure, and you sit there trying to figure out what changed, replaying every message and every moment, searching for the thing you did wrong. But the truth is, most men never notice the exact moment they kill a woman's attraction. They don't see the behavior that flips the switch in her head. Because, here's the reality, women don't lose interest because of one big failure. They lose interest because of small behaviors that communicate insecurity, pressure, neediness, or a lack of masculine grounding. You explain too much. You chase too quickly. You react emotionally. You try too hard to impress. You drop your standards. And before you realize it, she's already gone emotionally, even if she's still texting you. But here's the good news. Once you know these mistakes, once you can see them clearly, you can eliminate them permanently. You can start showing up as the calm, centered, stoic man women respect and stay drawn to. And in this video, I'm going to help you do exactly that. Let's get into it. Number 1. You explain too much. Listen, my friend, let's keep this real. Nothing drains a woman's attraction faster than a man who talks himself into a corner because he's scared of being misunderstood. When you over-explain, you think you're being polite, thoughtful, or clear. But to her, it feels like insecurity. It feels like pressure. It feels like you're trying to manage her reaction instead of standing in your own masculine center. Let me give you a real example so you can see this clearly. Imagine a man named Greg, 57, solid guy, works in logistics in Ohio, recently divorced, getting back into dating, trying to do things right. He meets a woman named Valerie, 54, at a weekend art workshop. They have a good conversation, light and natural. A few days later, he texts her, "Hey, enjoyed talking to you the other day. Hope your week's going smooth so far." That message is perfect, simple, clean, masculine. But then Greg panics. He wonders if he sounded too serious, or too casual, or too something. So he sends another message right after. "Not that I meant anything weird by that. I just meant I enjoyed the conversation. I wasn't trying to be pushy or anything. I know you're probably busy this week. Just wanted to say hi. Not trying to bother you." And just like that, the energy dies. You see what happened. His second message erased the confidence of the first. It showed nervousness. It showed fear. It showed he was already worried about losing her approval. Women in their 40s and 50s can smell that emotional insecurity in seconds. They've lived long enough to read tone, hesitation, and neediness instantly. Here is the truth. When you explain too much, you make your emotions her responsibility. You basically tell her, "Please don't misinterpret me. Please don't be upset. Please don't pull away." That pressure kills desire. Women are drawn to men who speak once, speak clearly, and let their words stand on their own. Instead of saying, "I hope that didn't sound weird," say nothing. Instead of adding, "Just to clarify," stop. Instead of dumping nervous paragraphs, keep your tone calm, short, and mature. Women don't want a man who is constantly correcting himself. They want a man who trusts what he says the first time. And this isn't just about texting. Greg did the same thing in person. When Valerie mentioned she had a busy week, he immediately rattled off explanations like, "Oh no, I didn't mean you had to text back. I know you're busy. I totally understand. I wasn't trying to take your time. I'm not expecting anything. I don't want to be a bother." To him, this sounded respectful. To her, it sounded like emotional anxiety wrapped in politeness. A grounded man doesn't chase clarity. He creates it by being concise. A stoic man speaks once and lets silence do the rest. Remember something Marcus Aurelius said, If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Say what you mean, nothing more. Women trust men who don't scramble to fix imaginary problems. They trust men who stay steady. When you over-explain, you signal self-doubt. When you speak simply, you signal self-respect. If you've ever caught yourself explaining way more than necessary, drop a comment with the words, "I know this." Stick with me, because the next mistake is even more destructive to your masculine presence. Number 2. You're always too available. All right, my friend, let's talk about one of the fastest ways men kill attraction without realizing it. Being too available. And I don't mean being responsive, respectful, or consistent. I mean living in a way where she becomes the center of your schedule, your time, and your attention, before she has even earned that place in your life. Women feel that instantly, and nothing shuts down her desire faster. Here's what most men don't understand: availability says something about your life. When you respond immediately, every single time, when you drop everything the second she texts, when you cancel your plans because she suddenly has time, you're not showing interest. You're showing that you have no direction, no momentum, no purpose. And a woman in her 40s or 50s can feel that lack of structure like a cold draft in the room. She does not want a man who is free. She wants a man who is focused. Stoicism explains this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." If your entire world stops the moment she messages you, what does that say about your ambitions, about your discipline, about the life you're building? A grounded man's attention is valuable because it is not scattered, it is controlled, it is earned. Now here's the part men get backwards. They think fast replies equal interest. They think constant availability makes her feel chosen. But what it really does is remove all tension, mystery, and polarity. When she knows she can have your time whenever she wants, she stops valuing it. When she knows you will always adjust to her schedule, she stops seeing you as a man with a life of his own. Women don't fall for men who orbit them. They fall for men who have a life that pulls them in, and you can feel the difference. Instead of replying in seconds, reply when you're actually free. Instead of stopping a workout for a text, finish your set. Instead of skipping your commitments, honor them. Instead of chasing, lead by example. You don't need to create distance. You need to keep your life moving. A woman is attracted to a man who has structure. A man who has routines, commitments, goals, responsibilities, and standards. When she sees that you're not available 24/7, she doesn't feel rejected. She feels intrigued, because it signals that you have a mission and that she is not the mission. And let me tell you something very real. Women respect men they cannot control. If your availability depends entirely on her attention, she knows exactly how much power she has. But when your availability comes from your priorities, your discipline, and your purpose, she sees a man who is already complete without her. That is the kind of man she wants to be around. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." That includes attraction. That includes identity. That includes the man you are becoming. So don't be instantly reachable. Don't be always ready. Don't be the man who waits by the phone. Be the man who is building something real and lets her step into that world at the right pace. If you've ever found yourself too available, drop a comment with the words, "I feel this." Stay with me because the next mistake exposes an even deeper form of insecurity. Number 3. You compliment her like a fan. Let's break this down honestly, my friend. Nothing makes a woman lose interest faster than a man who compliments her the way a teenager compliments a celebrity. When your praise sounds like admiration from below, instead of recognition from equal ground, you kill the very attraction you're trying to build. Women in their 40s and 50s have heard every shallow compliment on earth. They've been called beautiful, gorgeous, and stunning thousands of times. Those words bounce right off them. What gets their attention is something entirely different, a man who sees them without worshipping them. Let me paint a real picture for you. There's a man named Anthony, 56, from Phoenix, level-headed, recently getting back into dating. He meets a woman named Lauren, 52, at a friend's dinner gathering. She's elegant in a subtle way, confident without trying to be, and the two have a naturally warm conversation. Later that night, Anthony sends her a simple text. "Good talking to you tonight. Perfect, clean, masculine." But then he makes the mistake that so many men make. He starts sending a flood of compliments. "You're gorgeous. You're so beautiful. I can't believe I got to talk to you. You're amazing. You're stunning." And suddenly, the energy shifts. Not because the compliments are rude, but because they're unbalanced. They put her on a pedestal she didn't ask to stand on. They make him sound like he's performing for approval. And women at this age, women who have lived, worked, raised kids, rebuilt themselves, feel that dynamic instantly. Lauren wasn't turned off by kindness. She was turned off by worship. Here's the truth most men don't understand. Women don't want men who see them as flawless. Women want men who see them as human. Someone who pays attention to the things that actually matter. The way she listens, the confidence in her voice, the calm she brings into a room, the intelligence behind her opinions, the energy she carries without trying. Those compliments hit deeper because they show presence, not desperation. When you say, "You're so beautiful you sound like every other guy," when you say, "There's something steady about the way you carry yourself," you stand out instantly. Anthony learned this the hard way. After his compliment flood, the responses got shorter. The warmth disappeared. The attraction that was naturally forming evaporated because he shifted the power dynamic. He went from man to fan. But when he adjusted, when he started speaking like a grounded adult instead of a thirsty admirer, things changed. On their next conversation, he simply said, "You have an interesting way of seeing things. I like that." And for the first time, she leaned in. A compliment should not sound like begging. A compliment should not sound like auditioning. A compliment should not sound like worship. A real compliment sounds like recognition, two adults meeting on equal footing. Women respect men who choose their words, not men who scatter them. If you've ever caught yourself over-complimenting or praising a woman like she's above you, drop a comment with the words, "I know this." Stay tuned, because the next mistake reveals a subtle behavior that destroys attraction even faster. Number 4. You try too hard to impress. Let's get real for a second, my friend. Trying to impress a woman is one of the fastest ways to make her lose interest. Not because ambition is unattractive, not because success turns her off, but because when you try to impress, you're telling her you don't believe you're enough as you are. And a woman can feel that insecurity in every extra word, every flex, every exaggerated story. Most men don't realize they're doing it. They think they're showing value. They think they're standing out. They think they're proving they're a catch. But what they're really doing is performing. And performance kills attraction. Here's how it usually sounds. You start listing your achievements. You brag about your job title. You mention your investments. You talk about the places you've traveled. You highlight your accomplishments in a way that feels like a resume, not a conversation. She doesn't hear confidence. She hears effort. And effort, when it's rooted in insecurity, creates pressure instead of attraction. Stoicism hits this point with precision. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, stop worrying about how you appear and focus on who you are. The moment you try to manage her perception, you lose your grounding. You move from authenticity to performance. And women in their 40s and 50s have a built-in radar for performance. They've seen enough men pretending to know the world, pretending to be successful, pretending to be confident. She doesn't want your highlight reel. She wants your actual presence. Trying too hard to impress usually comes from fear. Fear she won't choose you. Fear another man is more successful. Fear you're not enough. And when fear drives your behavior, everything you say feels off. You laugh too much. You talk too fast. You over-explain. You become a walking commercial for yourself. But here's the truth. Real confidence is quiet. Real confidence doesn't decorate itself. Real confidence doesn't list achievements. Real confidence doesn't chase validation. A man who is genuinely grounded doesn't need to impress anyone. He simply exists, and the weight of who he is does the work for him. Stoicism teaches that your worth is in your character, not in what others think of you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." When you try to impress a woman, you're putting her opinion above your self-respect, and that instantly lowers your value in her eyes. Instead of flexing, be real. Instead of bragging, be steady. Instead of trying to look perfect, let her see that you're human and grounded. Women don't fall for perfection, they fall for presence. Speak simply, share naturally. Let your life reveal itself instead of advertising it. For example, instead of saying, "I'm extremely busy with my businesses and investments," just say, "Been having a productive week trying to get better at managing my time." Same meaning, different energy. One is ego, the other is grounded masculinity. And remember this, women aren't attracted to what you tell them. They're attracted to what you are when you stop trying. If you want to learn the deeper psychology behind attraction and get access to the tools I can't share publicly, join the private membership. That's where the real transformation happens. If this part hits home for you, drop a comment with the words, "I understand this." Let's keep going, because the next mistake exposes a deeper emotional pattern most men never see coming. Number 5. You need constant reassurance. Let me level with you for a moment, my friend. Nothing drains a woman's attraction faster than a man who needs emotional hand-holding every time something feels slightly off. And the dangerous part is, this most men don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're communicating, checking in, or being honest about their feelings. But to her it feels like pressure. It feels like responsibility. It feels like you want her to manage your emotions for you. And that is the fastest way to make a grown woman lose interest. Let me show you exactly how this plays out in the real world. There's a man named Stephen, 58, from Minnesota. Calm guy, successful enough, trying to date again after years of being single. He meets a woman named Monica, 53, at a weekend wine tasting event. Their first 2 conversations are great. She's warm, witty, feminine in a steady, grounded way. But then something happens that Stephen doesn't recognize as destructive. One night, Monica takes a bit longer to reply. Not hours, just longer than usual. And instead of letting it be, Stephen panics. He starts wondering if she's upset, if he messed up, if she's talking to someone else, if he's losing her. So he sends messages like, "Everything okay? Did I say something wrong? You seem different tonight. Are you sure you're not upset?" And just like that, the attraction drops. Why? Because Stephen's insecurity made her responsible for his emotional balance. A woman in her 50s doesn't want to be your therapist. She doesn't want to soothe you, reassure you, or manage your mood. She's lived long enough to know that a man who needs constant reassurance is a man who cannot lead himself, let alone a relationship. Now, here's the crucial thing. Monica didn't lose interest because she disliked Stephen. She lost interest because she felt the pressure of his uncertainty. She felt the emotional weight he kept trying to hand to her. Even worse, his reactions told her something deeper, that he hadn't built the inner strength to stay centered when the vibe shifted even slightly. This is where Stoicism becomes a weapon for men. Epictetus taught, "No person is free who is not master of himself." A man who needs constant reassurance is not mastering himself. He's outsourcing his emotional stability to a woman. And no matter how caring or feminine she is, she will not stay attracted to a man who does that. A grounded man reads a slow reply like this: "She's probably busy. I'll live." An insecure man reads the same reply like this: "She's pulling away. Fix it. Ask. Panic." Women can feel that difference instantly. And here's the truth most men avoid. Attraction requires emotional independence. Respect requires emotional maturity. Desire requires emotional stability. Stephen eventually learned this. One night he caught himself about to send another anxious text, and he stopped. He let it go. He went back to what he was doing. When Monica replied later, warm and playful, he realized something important. The story he created in his head was not reality. His fear was. And when he stopped feeding it, everything got better. Here's how a mature man handles those moments. He breathes. He pauses. He lets things unfold. He waits until he is centered before responding. Then his message sounds like a man, not a worried boy. If you've ever felt that urge to ask for reassurance when things shift even slightly, drop a comment with the words, "I feel this." Don't go anywhere, because the next mistake reveals something that silently destroys attraction even faster. Number 6. You change yourself around her. Let's get honest for a minute, my friend. This mistake is subtle, but it destroys attraction faster than almost anything else. When you shift your personality the moment she enters the room, when your tone changes, your energy tightens, or you suddenly start acting like a different version of yourself just to impress her, she feels it instantly. Women at this age have decades of experience reading people. They can spot authenticity and they can spot performance. And when you change yourself around her, what she feels is performance. Here's the part most men don't realize: she was attracted to you because of who you were before you switched. The relaxed version of you. The unfiltered version. The version that laughs normally, talks normally, moves normally. But the moment she appears, something shifts. You become overly careful, overly polite, overly agreeable, or overly perfect. And now she feels like she's not talking to a man. She's talking to an edited version of a man. Stoicism explains this beautifully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be content with what you are, and wish not to change, not because self-improvement is wrong, but because authenticity is the highest form of strength." When you change yourself around a woman, you're not showing improvement, you're showing fear. Fear of losing her, fear of disapproval, fear that the real you isn't enough. And fear is the opposite of masculine presence. This mistake shows up in small but powerful ways. You laugh softer when she's near. You nod more. You filter your words until nothing real comes out. You pretend to be more serious, more charming, or more impressive than you truly are. You adjust your interests to match hers. You agree with everything she says even when you don't believe it. You think you're being respectful. You think you're being easygoing. You think you're being a gentleman. She feels something totally different. He's not grounded. He's not centered. He doesn't trust himself. Women lose interest not because you're imperfect, but because you're inconsistent. A woman cannot build attraction for a man she cannot predict. And when you shapeshift depending on who is watching, she stops trusting the connection. She wonders, who is the real him? And why is he hiding? A grounded man doesn't switch personas. He stays the same man with everyone, steady, calm, direct, present. His humor doesn't change. His tone doesn't change. His confidence doesn't change. That stability is what draws her in. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be a man of honor, you must be who you pretend to be." In other words, stop performing and actually be the man you want her to see. Not by acting, but by aligning your inner and outer worlds. A woman respects a man whose personality doesn't fluctuate based on who is watching. And here's the hardest truth. When you change yourself to impress her, You are silently telling her she is above you. You elevate her. You lower yourself. And she feels the imbalance immediately. A woman doesn't want to rise above you. She wants to stand beside you. You don't need to match her energy. You need to stay rooted in your own. If her presence makes you abandon yourself, that is not attraction, it is insecurity dressed as effort. So, here's your shift. Be the same man in front of her that you are around your friends. Let your natural humor come out. Let your real opinions show. Let your full presence appear. A woman cannot fall for a mask. She can only fall for a man. If you've ever caught yourself switching personalities depending on the moment, drop a comment with the words, "I feel this." Stay tuned, because the next mistake reveals a quiet behavior that destroys respect before you even notice it happening. Number 7. You have no boundaries. Let's be straight about this, my friend. A woman loses interest the moment she realizes you have no lines, no standards, and no self-respect she has to honor. And the tough part is, most men don't even notice it happening. They think they're being understanding, patient, or easygoing. But to a woman, especially a grown woman with life experience, it looks like weakness. It looks like she can get away with anything. And once she feels that, attraction dies instantly. Let me show you how this plays out in real life with people just like you. There's a man named Harold, 59, living in Colorado. Good career, smart guy, solid presence. He meets a woman named Denise, 55, at a community cooking class. Their chemistry is real, natural, effortless. But the moment Denise begins testing boundaries, small ones, Harold starts losing her without realizing why. She cancels a date last minute. He says no problem at all, anytime. She replies hours late with cold energy. He says, "It's totally fine, take all the time you need." She makes playful jabs that cross a line. He laughs it off even though he feels it. And most damaging of all, she starts deciding when the connection exists and when it doesn't. And Harold keeps accepting it silently. Now here's the important part. Denise isn't a bad person. She's just reading him. Women test lightly at first, not to manipulate, but to see where the edges are. A woman in her 50s has met every type of man. She knows when a man is grounded, and she knows when a man is too afraid to take a stand. Harold didn't lose her because he was kind. He lost her because he had no boundaries. When you don't set boundaries, you communicate 3 things. I won't hold you accountable, I'll tolerate disrespect, and I value your attention more than my self-respect. Nothing kills attraction in a mature woman faster than that. She wants a man she can trust to navigate life with strength. A man who can steady the space, not collapse the moment she pushes a little. Here's the truth, boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are clarity. Boundaries are self-respect. Boundaries are masculine leadership without aggression. And this is where Harold finally learned. On one of their later interactions, Denise cancelled again. But this time, instead of, "It's totally okay," he paused, grounded himself, and said, "All good. Just let me know earlier next time so I can adjust my schedule." That one line changed everything. It wasn't angry. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't dramatic. It was masculine, calm, and direct. For the first time, Denise respected him. She saw a man, not a follower. Women don't lose interest because you set boundaries. They lose interest because you don't. A woman feels safe with a man who knows how to say, "No, that doesn't work for me. I'm not available last minute. Let's plan it earlier next time." Boundaries are not conflict. Boundaries are clarity. And clarity is attractive. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." A man without boundaries reacts emotionally. A man with boundaries responds from strength. If you've ever allowed someone to cross the line because you didn't want to lose them, drop a comment with the words, "I feel this." Let's keep going because the next mistake explains why so many men lose attraction without even realizing the real cause. Number 8. You give your attention too easily. Let's talk honestly here, my friend. A woman loses interest the moment she realizes your attention isn't something she has to earn. Most men don't understand how valuable their attention actually is. They throw it around like candy. They offer it to anyone who's nice to them, anyone who smiles, anyone who gives them even a little bit of validation. And when you give your attention too easily, you communicate something dangerous, that you don't value yourself enough to be selective. Women in their 40s and 50s can feel this instantly. They've lived long enough to know the difference between a man who chooses them and a man who clings to whoever notices him. When you respond to everything she posts, when you initiate every conversation, when you compliment her every time she appears, when you're available, the second she shows interest, you're not being kind, you're being overeager. And eagerness kills attraction. Here's the deeper truth. Attention is currency. Attention is power. Attention is desire. And when you hand it over freely without intention or standards, you drain it of meaning. A woman doesn't want attention you give to everyone. She wants attention that has weight. She wants attention that comes from a man with purpose, discipline, and a life that moves forward with or without her. Stoicism captures this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." In the same way, the people you give attention to determine the quality of your energy. If you direct it toward every woman, every notification, every message, you reveal your mind is scattered, unfocused, rooted in need instead of intention, and a woman feels that instantly. Here's what giving your attention too easily looks like. You're always the first to text. You reply immediately every time. You double text when she gets distracted. You react to every selfie she posts. You check her stories to see if she viewed yours. You keep conversations alive even when she goes dry. You think you're showing interest. She sees a man who has nothing better to do. A man who values his attention doesn't chase vibrations. He moves from purpose. He doesn't flood her with texts. He doesn't jump at every opening. He doesn't cling to small moments of validation. He offers presence when it makes sense and pulls back when the energy isn't mutual. A grounded man's attention is slow, intentional, selective, earned. A woman is drawn not to the man who gives the most attention, but to the man whose attention carries weight. This is why Stoics taught the importance of self-governance. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If you can't control where your attention goes, you're not leading your life, you're reacting to it. And women don't desire a man who lives in reaction. Here's how a mature man handles attention. He keeps his life full, work, training, hobbies, purpose. He responds when he has space, not when he's desperate. He communicates interest without overexposure. He lets her come toward him instead of chasing every inch she gives. He treats his attention like something valuable, not disposable. A woman respects a man whose attention she has to earn. She loses interest in a man whose attention is free. If you've ever noticed yourself giving too much energy too fast, drop a comment with the words, "I feel this." Don't go anywhere, because the next mistake uncovers the root problem behind why so many men lose their masculine edge. Number 9. You chase instead of led. Let's keep this real, my friend. Chasing is one of the fastest ways to make a woman lose interest, especially a grown woman who has lived long enough to know the difference between a man who leads and a man who follows. When you chase, you're telling her she is the prize and you are the applicant. And no woman feels genuine desire for a man she sees as trying to win her approval. Let me show you how this plays out in real life, with people just like you. There's a man named Douglas, 58, from North Carolina. Solid, dependable kind. He meets a woman named Marlene, 54, through mutual friends at a local volunteer event. She's feminine, grounded, sharp-minded. Their first conversation flows naturally. She laughs. She leans in. She gives all the signals that she's open and curious. But then comes the mistake. Douglas starts chasing. Hard. He double texts. He initiates every conversation. He asks to meet again before she even has time to miss him. He checks in constantly. He adjusts his schedule to match hers. He worries about losing her before he even has her. And, little by little, Marlene's interest drops. Not because she disliked him, not because he lacked value, but because she felt him moving into pursuit mode instead of leadership mode. See, Douglas didn't realize something crucial. Women don't fall for men who chase. They fall for men who lead. Leadership in dating isn't dominance or control. It's direction. It's clarity. It's presence. It's taking initiative without forcing energy. It's giving her something to follow, not something to run from. Here's the deeper psychology. When you chase, you communicate. I'm trying to get your attention. I need more from you than you need from me. I'm afraid of losing you. I'm not grounded. I'm reacting. But when you lead, you communicate. I move with intention. I direct the pace. I respect both our time. I choose you, but I choose myself too. Leadership creates polarity. Chasing destroys it. Here's an example to make the contrast clear. When Marlene took a bit longer to reply one day, Douglas panicked and sent, "Did you get my message? Everything okay?" That's chasing. That's fear. That's pressure. A leading man would have done this instead. Goes back to his day. Stays centered. Lets the energy breathe. And when he replies, it's calm and steady. Hope your day's going smooth. No pressure. No anxiety. Just presence. And here's where things changed for Douglas. A week later, after noticing the pattern, he shifted his approach. Instead of chasing, he led. When he texted her, he kept it simple. Free Thursday evening. Drink or coffee. Clear. Directed. Confident. Zero chasing energy. And what happened? For the first time in days, Marlene leaned in again. Because women don't respond to pressure. They respond to clarity. Stoicism ties this together perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Chasing is what happens when you let outside events control you. Leadership is what happens when you stay grounded and direct the moment from your center. A man who leads doesn't rush. He doesn't beg. He doesn't seek validation. He sets a steady pace and lets her meet him there. If you've ever found yourself chasing instead of leading, drop a comment with the words, "I know this." Number 10. You lose your masculine center. Let's slow this down for a moment, my friend, because this last mistake is the root of every other mistake we've talked about. When a man loses his masculine center, everything else starts collapsing. His tone changes. His decisions get shaky. His confidence becomes reactive instead of grounded. His emotions get pulled around by her responses, her moods, her pace. And once that happens, a woman feels the shift instantly. She may not say it out loud, but inside she disconnects. Your masculine center is not about being tough, aggressive, or dominant. It's not about being emotionless. It's not about acting like some exaggerated alpha caricature. A man's center is something quieter, something steadier, something deeper. It is the part of you that stays rooted no matter what she does. The part of you that doesn't swing wildly between hope and panic. The part of you that knows who you are, even when things feel uncertain. Here's the truth: a woman becomes attracted to the version of you that is centered, calm, intentional, and self-led. But many men only show that version at the beginning. Then, as soon as they get emotionally invested, they wobble. They become anxious. They react too fast. They interpret everything she does as a sign. One long pause in the conversation, and you go from confident man to emotional detective. That wobble is what kills attraction, not the mistake itself, but the energetic shift underneath it. Think about it this way. When you're centered, you move from purpose. When you're uncentered, you move from fear. And women feel the difference immediately. When you lose your center, you start doing things you wouldn't normally do. You explain too much, you overtext, you chase, you adjust your schedule to hers. You seek reassurance. You soften your voice and personality to avoid conflict. You stop living your life and start living in response to her behavior. That is how attraction dies. Not in one moment, but in the slow erosion of your grounded energy. A centered man stays rooted even when the vibe shifts. He breathes instead of reacts. He observes instead of panics. He chooses instead of chases. He doesn't get pulled into emotional turbulence. He brings stability to it. Here's the part most men never understand. A woman doesn't fall for your confidence. She falls for your stability. Not the loud kind, the deep kind. The kind that makes her feel like the world could shake, but you wouldn't. The kind that makes her trust you without thinking. The kind that makes her lean in without you asking. That is masculine center. Stoicism captures this power perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." A man who stays centered doesn't need external reassurance because he creates calm internally. He doesn't need constant validation because he validates himself. He doesn't rely on her emotional weather because he has built his own inner climate. A woman doesn't want to lead you back to your center. She wants to feel that you already have one. And here's the shift, my friend. Your masculine center isn't something you perform. It's something you return to. It's something you protect. It's something you build through discipline, standards, and the quiet strength of knowing who you are when no one else is watching. When you stop losing that center, every time you feel attracted, you stop losing women who are actually interested. Because attraction isn't about what you say or do, it's about the man you are when pressure hits. This is why mastering your center is the final and most important mistake to fix. Everything else depends on it. You just walked through the mistakes that make women lose interest instantly, and more importantly, you learned how a grounded Stoic man avoids every one of them. When you stay centered, set boundaries, protect your attention, and lead with calm confidence, you become the kind of man women don't drift away from you, become the man they gravitate toward. If you want the deeper tools, the advanced strategies, and the lessons I can't share publicly, join the private membership. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.